to have this gentleman still in our community, coaching basketball, influencing young men, and uplifting an entire university at Samford. Bucky McMillan, you know him, you have known him as a player, as an assistant coach, as a head coach in high school, a championship coach in high school and college. I was looking this up, and by the way, of all those NCAA statistical categories I mentioned earlier, Samford is in the top 10 in 5 categories. They are in the top 25 in 11 different statistical categories. And in a number of those categories, they are the first non-power conference school that you come to on the list, like scoring. Of the 6 of the top 7 scoring teams in the country are from power conferences. The one that's not, the Samford Bulldogs. That's no accident. So I did a little checking, and there's not much you can say about Bucky McMillan that hasn't already been said, but I did a little math, which is always dangerous, and if your media guide is correct, he has won between Mountain Brook and Samford 422 basketball games as a head coach. Think about that, 422 basketball games. That's about how many games John Clements has been to in the last 5 years, I think. That's a lot of basketball. That's a lot of winning. Again, it is not a mistake. It is because he is a people person. He surrounds himself with good people on the roster, on the staff. And we all owe a debt of gratitude to that gentleman sitting right there, Mr. Martin Newton, for recognizing the potential that Bucky had on the college level. We know what he did at Mountain Brook High School with all those state championships. Martin recognized that he could do those same kind of things at Samford, and Martin was dead on as usual. So Martin, congratulations to you. Congratulations. Congratulations to Samford for bringing in someone that epitomizes the spirit of the school. And if you haven't seen these guys play, and I'm ashamed to say, I've been sick over the last month or so, and my dad has as well. So I've not seen you play, but I'm going to make up for that this week. Frank, I'll be talking to you later about getting some tickets perhaps. But one of the best basketball people we have had in the state of Alabama in my lifetime, and that's a long time. Please welcome Bucky McMillan.
Thank y'all for having me. You know, this is basketball season. I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about. When I got to this table right up here, and I borrowed Leslie's pen, I wrote a couple things down, wanted to see who was in the house. But I've been here before, I've spoke here before, and most of you know my story being from here. So for me, it's just great to get down here and get to see everybody. You know, so many familiar faces, and this front row especially, y'all aren't getting any younger. But it's good to see y'all here every year. Kevin is the man right here. I knew him ever since I was coaching, ever since I was playing college basketball. And we had a situation at Birmingham Southern, the program was changing, and not many people were willing to go against the regime when they decided to make our program go from Division I to Division III. And I remember Kevin was there battling it out, saying this shouldn't happen. He's such a basketball guy in this state, and he loved basketball. And I'm just glad you're here, man, because people like you are the reason that basketball's taken off in this state. And you've always been on the front lines, man, and there's more of you now. But it took someone as crazy as you to be preaching basketball in a football state from the beginning. And you're the man, bro. Appreciate you on that. And it's funny how basketball comes full circle. You know, Leslie Claybrook worked at Birmingham Southern back in the day, you know, and when I was there. And it's just so great our paths crossed. You know, I always had such respect for you. And then I look up the other day and she's reffing a Samford game. You know, I had to refrain from saying anything with a good or a bad call. But just seeing this table over the years, and I don't remember Dick Coffey years ago when I was a player. I think you gave me a tip-off Player of the Week award back in the day. And Wade Kaiser here, we get to see your brother a lot more during the basketball games. But I watched you and Vestavia kill Mountain Brook. Y'all's high school team beat us by about 30 points. And at that moment, I said, I'm going to coach Mountain Brook. I'm going to return the favor one day. And then to top that off, we have a tip-off club player of the week in Sarah from Vestavia, and with your coach, who I've just heard nothing but great things about, man. I mean, I had the Brashes come to our practice and talked about your practices and say, you got to go watch them practice. So I may be coming to watch y'all play, but seriously, to you and your sister, like, it's going to be this is the best times of your life. There's not many times that you get to be a part of a team and play with people you grew up with and get to go home to mom and dad. It's an awesome time. And I know you're thinking about next level or what am I going to do after this, but y'all don't take this for granted. I mean, if anybody in this room could go back and play high school basketball right now, and we get to trade, I know I'd trade it all. I'm 41 years old. I don't know what y'all would trade. Y'all would trade more than it all probably to get to go back and do that. So enjoy it. I don't think enough people tell you at that time, like the people that you're with, the people you go to school with, like you think it goes on forever, but it doesn't. One day you'll graduate, and those people that you're around, you may see 2 or 3% of them. Most of them you'll never see again. You never get this time with your parents like this. You never get these times with coaches where it's just pure. So y'all enjoy the heck out of it, and I'll be pulling for y'all. I think it's so great to get to speak here. I mentioned this last time I spoke, and I'm not going to tell too many stories because y'all know my story, but I literally came here, and Parker, I knew you were coming today. Coach Cooper, I'm going to talk about you in a second. But Parker, I came here, how old are you? 11. I probably came here with my dad when I was 10 or 11 years old. And I watched someone win the tip-off player of the week, tip-off club player of the week. And I watched a coach that was coaching college basketball sit up here and talk. I remember that at your age. And then I was fortunate enough to build my career right here in Alabama. And I knew I wanted to be a basketball player. And that's what I wanted to do every day. And Coach Cooper, who was my athletic director in high school, watched me. He had to kick me out of the gym all the time. And Coach, I'm sorry about playing that loud music right by your office all the time, or you could never work. But I grew up wanting to be a basketball player here. And I grew up watching this club. And so I greatly appreciate what this club does to promote basketball. Because I sat in your seat, came here year after year, and then I sat in your seat and got the Player of the Week award, right? And guess what happened after that? Then I sat in your seat. I got to coach high school basketball. And then I'm the guy up here that's the college coach that you get to listen to. And maybe one day you get to be in one of these spots. But along the way, I learned so much from so many people and so many people in this room. And that when I get to speak and when I get to pour into others, some of this is my own stuff. But really, it's what I learned from people along the way. People along the way. And that's what makes this so awesome. It makes sports awesome. It makes my story awesome. Because about everything I learned right here in this city and the people that influence me. And long after I'm gone and you're gone, the lessons you taught me that I'm giving to others, they'll be able to carry on. And it's going to be on you to give it to the next generation. How cool is that? How awesome is that? And that's a responsibility we all have so we can pour in to this youth. And that's why I coach basketball. I coach basketball for that reason. Sure, it's fun winning games, and we've had a lot of success doing that. But the reason that I coach basketball is because I was mentored by so many great people. And because of that, I want to mentor others, and it can go right down the line. My story of playing basketball here, I gave everything to basketball here. Like, I mean, when I mean that, like some people it was fishing, some it was hunting. I was probably unhealthy how much you gave to basketball. Like I knew I wanted to play college basketball, and I would do anything to make it happen. And I'm telling you, there's highs and lows with it. You know, there are highs and lows with it. Like, you know, you heard Michael Jordan when he went into the Hall of Fame. And he talked about it, the Hall of Fame speech he talked about. He says, is the greatest player ever. The greatest player ever sits there at the Hall of Fame speech and he says, you know, this game has brought me a lot of trials and tribulations. It's been difficult. I can't remember exactly the exact words. And he actually says it's been a source of a lot of pain. But it brought me joy along the way. He's the greatest player ever. The greatest player ever. He doesn't talk about how great it was. He talks about it's been a source of a lot of pain. But it brought me joy along the way. And I think people, whenever they accomplish something meaningful, they totally understand that. They totally understand that there's a pain to it to be successful, because you're going to go through tremendous adversity to be successful, and real stories are made by those who are able to overcome that adversity and have great success stories. So I grew up here. I gave all I could to this game. I was fortunate enough to play basketball at an awesome high school. And I had an awesome athletic director who made sports relevant at Mountain Brook High School. From there, I had the opportunity to go play for the best college coach there ever was in my eyes, and that was Dwayne Reball, who was at Birmingham Southern. He asked me to come over there, and his assistant was Mitch Cole, who's here. Coach Cole, where are you at, Coach? Right over there in the back. He skill trained me and taught me the skills of basketball ever since I was 7 or 8 years old. I went to Dwayne Reball's basketball camp since I was 7 or 8 years old. Before I was younger than you. And I got to go play for them, two of the greatest men I've ever encountered in my life, and they taught me the game. After that, I got done playing, and I wanted to get into coaching. I came right back to Mountain Brook High School. I've been coaching AU basketball, took a JV job, made $1,000 a year. I think one time, Coach, y'all didn't pay me that dang money. Made $1,000 a year for a couple years. And then at 24 years old, I played for a great high school coach, and Mark Cornish. He goes and leaves. He goes to take a job in his old hometown. And I'm sitting there as a 24-year-old, don't have a teaching certificate, all right? When you're from the hometown, they know the good and they know the bad about you. So you're going to have the people that are calling about you. Hey, we want Bucky to do this, and you're going to have the people that they may be for you or against you for whatever reason, and you got to listen to it all. But you think about Mountain Brook High School, and you think about a 24-year-old having an opportunity to get that job. Usually doesn't happen. But I'd have one person to believe in me and give me a chance, or I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I'd have no chance to be sitting here. And that's this guy right here, Terry Cooper. Coach, raise your hand real quick, Coach. And what I want to say is this. Coach Cooper was the athletic director at Mountain Brook High School that has now won award after award, and I think it was deemed the best program in the nation one year, athletic program in the nation one year. He started this program. He was there as a coach, then as the athletic director. He was crazy enough to hire me. And when you look at all the success of all the sports, if there's one person responsible for it all, one person, and there's not just one, but if there's one, he's the guy. And so what I want to tell you, thank you for all you did for me. But most importantly, thank you for what you did for the place that I'm from and bringing so much joy to so many people through athletics and dedicating your life to that. And it'll carry on forever, man. And people don't recognize that enough. If it wasn't for you, all this joy that these kids get to have wouldn't happen at the same level. You're unbelievable. I worked for the best athletic director in high school that I could have ever wished for. And also thank you for allowing me to be me. I'm a weirdo. And I have to have an AD that understands that. I work crazy hours. I'll be up. He'll get calls at 1 in the morning. Why is this guy trying to break in the office? This guy tells me he's part of the staff. He looks like a junior high kid. Oh, no, it's Bucky. He's good, you know. So, but I appreciate you, Coach, man. You're the best, man. And then I worked there for years at Mountain Brook. We had a great run. Won a lot of games, but most importantly, I think we did something in the community. Not that was just successful. We did something that I don't think people thought could be done. I think that's what's most important. I think you did something, whenever something happens, or there's these stories in basketball or movies about the miracle on ice or different things, what happens is people say, I didn't think that was possible, and that's why you have those emotions associated with it. When you do something, you win that big game, or you may have a historical season, it just provides hope to so many people in sports because they can watch that and they may be battling something in their own life, whether it's sickness, whether it's financial struggles, whether it's whatever, and they identify and they say, you know what, that inspired me. I didn't think that we could beat the Russians in hockey. That's an inspiration to me to overcome my battles. And that's what was so unique about what we did at Mountain Brook High School. People could say, hey, yeah, we had good players. We certainly did, but it's a culmination of it all is why we had great success. But I go to Mountain Brook High School. I never thought I'd leave Mountain Brook High School. Coach retires, and God had a plan for me. He put me with the best AD in the country and such a good man with Terry Cooper. And then right into my life walks Martin Newton. Are you kidding me? I mean, are you kidding me? I can't work for everybody, and most people may not want me to work for them. But I was so fortunate. I walk into an AD that is me in a different way. I remember the first time me and Martin started talking, it was just like, I could do it. I can roll with this guy. And let me tell you something about this, about courage, okay? Because it's different. Terry Cooper had been there for years. How many years did you work there, Coach, at Mountain Brook? How many years did you work at Mountain Brook? 38. All right, a bad hire here or there. He's got 30 years behind him that they're going to say, okay, we'll give you that one. Okay, in college it's a little bit different, right? If you're going to be the guy that hires a high school coach, that's happened twice in 30 years, you can't be wrong. Like, you can't be wrong because it's not like, hey, that coach is out. It's like, you and that coach, get out of here. And when you talk about the courage of Martin Newton to give me the opportunity, and that just doesn't happen. It takes someone that's so real to do that. And most importantly, Martin's not just riding with us right now when we've had success and we've won championships and we're having 20-plus win season and all that. The most memorable moment to me, and I'll never forget this, and people, you always have opportunities in coaching to move on, to do different things, and those opportunities present themselves. But I was asked last year about an opportunity that I'm standing right here, is because something that Martin did. It wasn't that he was riding with us when we were winning all these games. In our first couple of years, my first year we won 6 games. We're terrible. 6 games. And in high school, Coach, it took us our 5th year to even win a game in Jacksonville. Then we won a state championship and played 8 of the next 9. But Martin, when we were not very good, we lose to a Division II school. He's trying to extend my contract because he saw what we were trying to do. He saw what we were trying to do. And that meant a lot, man. That meant a lot. And that allowed us to stay the course, to build it the right way. And if you build it the right way, it will always be good. I knew when we left Mountain Brook, it was going to be in great hands. I knew the program would sustain. I knew if I fell down dead tomorrow, Sanford will keep rolling. And I was just very fortunate to the people that have been in my life. A couple here that I've seen out here, Mike Dutton, man, raise your hand. So one of these great high school coaches is Mike Dutton, coached for years after years. One of the reasons we play the way we do was because I had to play against Mike Dutton's teams in high school. Everyone thinks Nate and Bruce and I play fast. Y'all didn't see Mike's teams play, man. They'd shoot it before they rebounded it. Corey Green here, who's at Sanford, coach. Corey, raise your hand. He is the man. I watched him play when he was at Collier. If y'all remember Collier's teams playing in the Final Four with Coach Burdett. Watch him as a player. Now I get to work with Corey. Such a joy to work with. Frank Bromberg, my godfather right here. He is, you're going to get head up after this for some type of financial investment in the Sanford basketball program. So you better make sure that you don't give Frank your number right here. No, but he's the greatest. Andreas right here, man, appreciate you. Bucky right here. Barry, Tim Francis, man, just thank y'all for being so supportive and great fans. I went through that, and I had that opportunity at Mountain Brook. I wanted to mention this last thing in thanking people. Ernest Watford, who's right here, man. This is Trendon Watford, Ernest Watford. Trendon Watford, I told people at a young age, I started working out Trendon Watford when he was 6 years old, maybe, six years old, literally. And we work out all the time. And then you talk about making it as a player, those that want to play college basketball. Like, so a lot of people don't know the sacrifices you got to make and really what it is. So I started working out Trendon, 3, 4, 5 days a week since he was this tall. And I just remember I'd kill him. I would kill him. Coach, he'd be at Mount Brook High School gym. I would just destroy him. We'd get done with the workout, and he'd say, you done? Yeah, we just went for 2.5 hours. Watch this. And he'd just put him on the line and run him to death, you know. And I knew Trendon was very skilled. I didn't know how good he was until I went and watched him play his first game. He's like 9 years old. And he's like 2 feet taller than everybody. I'm like, whoa. This guy has a real chance to be an NBA player. And I said, people ask why. I said, because his size, his skill, but he's got a great mother and father. When I coached Trendon Watford, there was none of this. For those that don't know, Trendon Watford played all SEC player, now playing for the Brooklyn Nets, right? It didn't matter what happened. He always had my back. It was never, let's talk to coach about he's not getting his shots, let's talk to this. If Trendon was ever complaining, it was, you better figure it out. You better figure it out. You know, you run him as much as you want, you do whatever you wanted to, and that was special. There's not too many parents like that today. And I'm going to tell you something that's truly unique. Think about this. There's roughly 60 players taken in the NBA draft. Roughly 60 players taken, okay? And I hope Birmingham recognizes how incredible this is. Roughly age range 17 to 24 years old. And you get to take these players from all over the world. Roughly 60 players, 18 to 24 years old, from all over the world. So you got to pretty much be one of the top 10 best players your age in the freaking world. Guys, I had 2 on my high school team, in Trendon Watford and Colby Jones. Colby Jones, as a junior, didn't have an offer from Samford. He didn't have Division I offers yet. But he saw greatness. He was around Trendon all the time, and they fed off each other. And you look up and you watch both those guys in the NBA right now. A kid that I worked with since I was 5 or 6 years old, that his father's one of my best friends. And to see him out there on the floor, are you kidding me? How lucky have I been? How lucky have I been and be able to do it right here? I'm just so appreciative. I'm going to talk real quick about Samford basketball here. I don't have the clicker here, Dave. I don't know what you got. So look, I want to say this. I'll be real quick with this. But when we took over in 1920, and I'm showing this for the progression, Samford had some up and down years. In 1920, Samford wasn't in the best of spots at that time. Bottom 30 team net-wise in the country. The following year in COVID, we won 6 games. We still moved up to 259th. Then in 21-22, we moved up to 195th. Then in 22-23, we moved up to 135. And Dave, I think you got more. So then last year, we moved all the way up to 74 in the net rankings. And you can kind of see who's on there. And this is what I want everyone, hopefully they can recognize, because I'd love to have you at a game at the Pete Hanna Center. Who we're ahead of. You know, we were 74. Memphis was 75. You got USC 88, Ole Miss 90, UMass 91. LSU 94, Florida State 96, Indiana 98, Georgia 100, Miami 101. You go right down the line with all these teams right here about the net rankings. And Michigan's won national championships. That's where we got it to last year. And we went to the NCAA tournament, and we were very close to beating Kansas. You see the trajectory where we want to go. Currently, I think Coach has it up there, we're 96 right now. And you can see some good teams right around there. Hopefully we get these 2 home wins, we jump right back up. But our goal is to be always of about 360 teams, to always try to be at the top, and when we get the NCAA tournament, have a chance to win in the NCAA tournament. Keep going, Coach. In the past, here's what I think has been unique, is our play in conference play has been fantastic. Our overall record's been obviously very good. But we were picked this year in spite of losing 8 of our top 9 guys. We lost 8 of our top 9 players. We returned 1 starter, and we were picked to win the league. That's unheard of. You lose 8 of your top 9 players, return 1 starter, and we're picked to win the league. That tells us that there's a lot of respect, not just for a good team, but we have a good program and a good thing going. And others, just like ourselves, expect us to be good every single year. Conference standings, like we said, we're at the top of the standings. I want to keep going, Coach. I want to get to this. So this is what Kevin was talking about last year. This was Samford basketball. And people say, is that Division II? No, that's Division I. Everybody's in there together. These were all the stats that we were in the top in the country in. So there was no team with this many stats in the top 17 in the country. Points per game, 3-point percentage, turnovers, fours. Y'all can see it. This was last year's stats. And then we came into this year, And this was us this year. This is exactly what Kevin was talking about. These are the teams right here who are leading the country in scoring. And you can see all these schools, a lot of big schools, but we're right there with them. And we don't want to take a backseat to anybody. I've always said it's not good enough in Alabama just to win. You got to play an exciting style. And so we want you, if you come to a Sanford game, we want you to see a win, but we also want you to see points. And that's what's unique about basketball in the state right now. It used to be basketball, it was a football state for good reason, because basketball looked like football out there half the time. The final score would be 21-18, and you're like, what's going on? Well, now it's just completely changed, and Alabama has the most exciting basketball in the country. 3 teams in the top 6 in scoring is phenomenal. Three-pointers made per game, we're number 3rd in the country, three-pointers made per game. We played the number 1 team, North Dakota State. Did anybody get to see that game at home? Unbelievable. They go 20 for 38. You asked me about guarding the 3. We're not going to do that. They went 20 for 38 from 3 on us. And I felt like they were off. And they break the school record for threes in a game, and you usually have this big story to write about it, but they lost in overtime. We just had to turn them over a million times at the end, so it was amazing. But you can see that where Alabama's 24, Auburn's 30th. So it's a great three-point shooting state. This is one thing that's not talked about. All right, well, I told you, we want you to see exciting basketball. We want to see you win. Now, this is unheard of, that Sanford basketball has the 3rd longest home win streak in the country. That's insane. Let me tell you why that's insane. Because the high majors, they have buy-get money. They decide they're going to have 10 non-league games at home versus low-mid majors. They pay them to come beat them. Martin, we don't have that money, do we? We don't have that money. But when you look at this, you come to a Sanford game, we're the only mid-major that's going to be in this discussion. We're right there and have one of the longest home win streaks in the country. So I'm pulling for Houston to lose and Connecticut to lose, Dayton to lose. I want to get all the way up to the top. Now, it's not going to get easy. We're going to have some great games coming up, and it's not going to get easy, but it's still a heck of an accomplishment. Right now in state, Kevin mentions it, great basketball going on. Auburn, Alabama won. We were 3 in the state. South Alabama just put together 4 great wins. So we're going to have to jump them with a couple of home games to get back up to the top. But again, great year for basketball. Everybody can win their league. Some of these teams you look at, like UAB will definitely move up as they go. They'll get it going here. And I think you'll have a chance for pretty much all of these teams to have an opportunity to get the tournament, which is unique. So Dave, let's just show our schedule. This is our remaining home schedule. And so we'd love to have you come to the game. We got games this Thursday and this Saturday at home. The UNC Greensboro game will be an awesome game. BMI, they're always tough, but the Greensboro game, they just beat Furman by a lot of points at home. So if you're able to get out, this is it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 games, and then we're off to Asheville. We really would love to have you come out to a game. And I will say this, that for a team that has been a top team in the country in scoring, has one of the longest home win streaks, shoots high percentage of threes, it's amazing what we've done and have that home win streak when we're not rocking it out with 50,000 people at a game. Think how good we could be if we had a lot of people there and how much fun that would be. So we'd love to have you come out to a game. Dave, I'm going to cut it at that. I'll take questions. I know we're on time restrictions here. So let's cut it there. And any questions? Well, so I heard a coach one time, they asked him about the shot clock, and they said, well, I don't get to pick my players, so I don't think we should, I don't know what your philosophy is, Coach. I'm sorry if I offend anyone here. I got to fight for basketball, whatever your philosophy is. But when they say, I don't get to pick my players, so therefore I don't think we should have a shot clock because I want to determine the way that we have to play to be successful here. And the reality of it is, I was in my mind thinking, it's really not about the coach. It's about that entire community. People want to complain about people moving, transferring. Well, let me tell you, the way to change that would be if there was a limit on how long the ball could be held before it's shot, because it seriously hinders development. Seriously hinders development. You have to have a shot clock in high school basketball. And we're really going to get left behind if we don't. I mean, the players that have the European players, that's why half the league's made up, and the NBA is made up of Europeans. And if you get a European player, Like we've signed a kid right now from Australia. He will be so much further ahead than all the guards in the U.S. because they play with the shot clock. The processing has to come up so much. And that's one thing that Alabama should be able to figure out. But the whole, well, we don't know if people are going to learn how to work it. Well, come on. Come on. Let's go. I mean, we're not trying to solve pie here. Let's figure this out. And it will be awesome. It'll be awesome for the state. Yeah. Any more? Yeah. You know, Martin would be the best one to talk about it, but if you ask my thoughts, this is the unfortunate part about the state of college basketball. I'm not saying it's not great for the players. I don't think this is the way it was intended. I don't think collectives was the way that it was intended. I can tell you as a coach that if you don't doing your job fundraising, you're not going to win. But the sad part for all of us is, and I'm just glad I was alive to see the glory days, you'll never see college athletics mean what it meant before all this. And that's the sad part. It is truly sad. When you watch Duke and North Carolina play, you know, in 2003, 2004, you saw players that would die on the floor for their school. You saw players who came in as babies, as 17 years old, 18-year-old, left as 22-year-olds, had a bond that's unbreakable for the rest of their lives. I think I heard John Brady speak here, and he brought up a great point. He says, you know, it used to be you had senior night, and those players would walk across that floor and be crying their eyes out because they left their soul at that university that made them the man they are. Now it's just like, that was great, nice 6 months. You know, I was here and there, and that's what's sad. There's no, you know, if you say, well, I'm not going to partake in NIL, then you're going to lose. You're going to lose. If you don't partake in NIL, if I don't fundraise at Sanford, we're going to lose. Like, here's why. Because an athlete, this would be like years ago saying, hey, we want you to come to Alabama. Well, I'm thinking about going to Auburn. Like, well, he's thinking about going to Alabama. But guess what? Alabama, you got to pay for your own dorm room. At Auburn, you know, we got your dorm room taken care of. Well, the first thing is, you're going to think, if you're Wade, you're like, well, maybe I could pay for my own dorm room. That's a little weird. Like, what's the validity? I mean, what's their program, you know, what's lacking here? And that's the trouble with it. Now, what's been the biggest separation, mid-majors and high majors? That's why it's been so amazing what Sanford has been able to do. Last year was one of the only years there was no mid-majors in the Sweet 16. Why? We went to the Sweet 16 last year. I told you we returned one of our top 9 players. Well, I knew we went to the NCAA tournament. It's plucking season. They're about to pluck our players. We're on national TV. And Chor goes off for 25, and AJ's bombing in threes. I'm like, well, you know, this is a nice highlight tape, and I know they're about to get really paid. And that's the deal, is the gap is going to continue to grow. And the entitlement probably going to be there. And I don't think people are going to, they're not playing for their school. It's the pro model. And the unfortunate part is when you don't have players as a coach for 4 and 5 years, I can honestly say, and I think Ernest would agree, that I had some part in helping Trenton get to where he is, but also had some part of him away from the court, that he could say, I grew as a man in some way because of his influence in some way. Nobody has ever said to a pro coach, Chuck Daly made me into the man I am today. It doesn't happen. They'd say Bear Bryant did, right? You go right down the line. Mike Krzyzewski did. But when you're coaching players for six months, that's not what it is. It's the pro model. But one thing I can promise you is this. It used to be, never say a word about the poor college kid, right? Never say a word about the poor college kid. Well, if I'm that donor at Alabama and I give $1 million to that quarterback and I'm in the box, I'll say whatever I want about the college kid. And so you can't have it both ways. It can't be transactional and relational. You can't play both sides of it. I wish it was all relational. Go ahead. I'll get you next. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so this is just a philosophy. Nothing that I've done since I've been to college has changed since I coached high school or before that. I mean, I've been coaching. You mentioned all the games I coached. I coached AAU before that. So, we were talking about myself, Bill Self's a great coach, but I don't know. I'd be surprised if he'd coach more games than I'd coach, right? I mean, I'd be surprised. I mean, I had to coach 90 games in the summer with all these teams. And so on the coaching standpoint, it's another day at the office. For your team, I've always said this, and I don't know if Dave had to go to the next. This is what our whole overview of what we're about is. Get great personnel, get them to work extremely hard, get them to be unselfish, and then they're going to have an element of confidence that they can roll with. That will be unmatched. If you have the right personnel, staffing, players, they've worked hard, and I tell you that as a player, if you know you've worked harder than everyone you're playing against, you're going to the game like, I've outworked you. And you know your team's outworked them. You played that hard, and you know, hey, we're brothers. I had guys on my team last year that were there 3 years. Like, it meant something to them. Well, you know when you go into a game, when you've worked that hard and you're that together, you're going to have an element of confidence. So the more you start shaking confidence from players, you start changing everything you do. I'm a big proponent. We're going to play how we play. Like, if it don't work, it don't work. But we're going to roll. We're going to go. We're going to play how we play. And people say, yeah, well, they got some dunks in transition. Well, they're going to dunk it anyway. Trust me. But I would tell you this much. Our guys had confidence that we're going to roll these guys. Like, we weren't going in there. We got to change for them. It was worth just as much to have that confidence going in the game. Well, Mark could answer this with the stuff coming in-house that will change everything. Mark, you want to talk about that? Anything else? Hey, thank y'all very much. I appreciate y'all having me.